Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some malicious compliance. Get angry when I am being kind to an elderly couple? Be prepared to wait in line until hell freezes over. Just happened a few days ago. On the way to vacation with the family. The terminal agent calls for boarding. We get in line. My wife, 13-year-old daughter, 16-year-old son, and myself. We're somewhat near the front of the line, and it quickly grows to a couple hundred people. I see an elderly couple. Woman was using a cane, and both were slow moving, but they apparently didn't want to board during the assisted boarding time. I leaned out as they walked near me and asked if they would like to take our place in line. They looked a little surprised but happily accepted. As I was helping them into the line, I hear some guy, about 5 people back, sighing and making comments under his breath. I was just about to leave the line and head to the back with my son when the couple behind us insisted we stayed. I told them it was no problem for us to go to the back, but they weren't having it. The sighing douche overheard our conversation and decided to interject. If he wants to leave, let him. Otherwise, he may as well let all the other old people cut in line. I look at this little toad, not even as big as my 13-year-old daughter. Images of me tossing him and his festering Napoleon complex into a trash can are dancing in my mind. Instead, I decided to give him what he asked for. I sent my son back in the line to find any elderly people who were behind us. In a minute, he returned with a lovely couple, about 70. They slipped right into line. A moment later, he found 2 women traveling together, right into line. The couple behind us were almost in tears. Not sure if from laughter or just enjoyed watching a teen escort elderly people towards the front of the line. Napoleon complex is having a silent tantrum as the line is going slowly, even without old line cutters. He walks from the line, complains to the agent, and boards immediately. Squeaky wheel got his grease after all. It took about 10 minutes for us to go through boarding check and enter the plane. It was 2 rows of 3 seats on that plane. As we near our row number, I realized my wife is supposed to sit opposite me, in the same row as Napoleon complex. I called an audible and she sat with the kids while I took the aisle seat with Napoleon complex. He looked like he was gonna pee in his pants and just stared out the window. I made sure it was the most uncomfortable 5-hour flight of his life. Strange how bullies never shut up until they're afraid. To all the people offended and calling me a bully, I don't even know what to say. I hope you meet people that care about the elderly when you are older and could use a hand instead of people concerned about their carry-on luggage. I apologize in advance for anyone offended by short jokes, my blatant misogyny for allowing women in the line, my poor grammar, and interchangeable use of British and American spellings of words. Enjoy your summer, everyone. He probably didn't think about all the other people, behind him that were probably slightly annoyed, but then again, would you rather be standing up straight or would you rather be in that tiny cramped seat for an extra 10 minutes? I think I know I'd rather be stood up. Don't want to pay for the ferry? Take the other way. So this happened almost 20 years ago when I was working as a ticket salesman for a ferry company in Norway. As anyone that has worked with tourists know, languages can be a huge barrier and misunderstandings happen, and some tourists can be very stubborn. In this case, some Portuguese tourists came and wanted to go to a place called Balestrand from Hella, a trip that takes 5 minutes with a ferry and a 12-kilometer drive, or 7 miles. Since the intent for the tourists is set, let's get to the players. Me, a dashing young ticket salesman. Evil tourists, a car with 4 Portuguese people. And now for our main feature. I am walking and selling ferry tickets when the evil tourists drive down the line. 1 car with driver and 3 passengers. That will be 81 Norwegian krone, approximately 10 euros or US dollars at the time. 18 Norwegian krone? No, 81 Norwegian krone. No, you said 18 Norwegian krone. No, I said 81 Norwegian krone. It is specified on the ticket. No, you said 18 Norwegian krone. We refuse to pay more. This went on for a while, and finally I had enough. You will not get on this ferry unless you pay the correct amount. However, there is an alternative route that does not have a ferry. I then gave the instructions on how to drive there, and the evil tourists left without a thank you. I told you they were evil. What I neglected to tell the evil tourists was that the route was a bit of a detour, and a toll road. The toll was 160 Norwegian krone, or about 20 euros or dollars, and the distance they needed to drive was approximately 240 kilometers, or 150 miles. Is there a moral to this story? Darn right it is. Do not annoy the ticket salesperson for ferries, because they will make you travel 20 times further than needed and pay twice as much in toll roads. I might be mistaken, but do tourists do that quite a lot, like pretend to not understand so they can try get cheaper things? I might be completely mistaken, but it seems like something that's quite common. My dad accused me of giving my dog his fish oil pills, and ended up losing more. This happened when I was a little younger. I loved medications. I always have. Even now, I'm on a pre-pharmacy track in university. So, as a kid, I loved playing with pills, seeing how they worked, researching them, and supplements and the like. Me and my family had just adopted a new dog, Riley, a beautiful German Shepherd. She was, and always will, be my baby. I had been researching how good fish oil is for dogs and their fur, and was thinking of buying some supplements for her. Around the same time, my dad recently got a new, unopened jar of omega-3 fish oil supplements for himself. My little fingers were itching to open up the bottle and take a look at the cool new pills. But no, my dad hadn't opened them yet. So I, being the annoying kid I was, opened up the seal and grabbed 1 pill from the jar. I brought it to my sink and cut them down the middle. I studied the oil, how it tasted, how much of it there was, how the liquid cap worked, all that fun stuff. Later that night, my dad came home and became livid. "Did you give the dog some of my capsules?" No, I just cut one up to take a good look at it." "No, you didn't. You gave them to the dog. Look, there's a capsule in the sink." "Yeah, because I cut one up to look at it." "You're lying. I counted the ones left in the jar. You took more than 1. You took 4. Knowing my dad lied about counting the pills, fine. The jar says there's 130 capsules. I'll count them myself. If they're not missing any, I get to give the rest to Riley." "Go ahead then. I guarantee you stole more than 1. I got a bowl and some paper towels and proceeded to count every single pill left in the huge jar. Lo and behold, there was 134 pills in the jar, more than the 130 that he said. Once I told him about it, he looked defeated. He couldn't win. His little kid had actually counted the pills. I gave the 4 extra pills to Riley in her food. I'm sure they didn't do anything for her fur, but it felt good to make my dad watch 4 of his precious pills get fed to our dog. There's like 2 things I'm really confused about. The first one being the obsession over the pills, because at first I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good later on in life. Hopefully it doesn't go to that point, but hopefully it doesn't. And then the second is the dad's like concern over losing pills. Like the Omega pills you can get pretty cheap, I'm pretty sure, so why would he care? Stand there and look pretty? Got it. So I used to work as a rep for a designer label to upscale boutiques in malls and such. Mostly my job consisted of pitching new lines to the boutiques and making sure orders were satisfied in a timely manner. A key part of the job was that I personally had to sign for shipments from our label, as I was the only one authorized to accept shipments at this location, and HR was extremely strict on this rule. Well, I'm on site with a boutique, and I have a higher up from corporate with me to premiere a new line of summer wear. It's supposed to be an exclusive to the boutique for the entire season, for a 45% price increase. This estimated to about $2 million added profits for the season. The day for the shipment comes, and I'm coordinating with the corporate rep and the boutique owner for how much product to be put on the floor, since we rented a percentage of their floor space. Me and the corporate rep disagree on the numbers. He wants much higher floor volume for this single product line than me. I make sure to remind him that we have multiple lines we want to sell, and he tells me to just stand there and look pretty, don't even move. I just tell him alright and let him finish the discussion. Shipment comes. Shipping company can't be on the sales floor where I'm standing. Nobody is there to receive the shipment since the corporate rep thought I was receiving, so the shipper leaves after 15 minutes. Corporate rep comes and asks why the product isn't on the floor, and I inform him he instructed me not to move, so I missed the shipment. Company has to reschedule shipment and pay for the missed shipment, and has only last season's product to put on the floor until the new shipment. Oh, as soon as I read what he said, I was like, oh, yep, this is definitely going there. And yep, it did. So that's what you get for being misogynistic, I guess. Add up what everyone owes me. Sure thing, boss. This happened a few years back, but I remembered it at work today. I work at a spa/salon at the front desk. The employees get paid a pretty good discount on services, so plenty of them get their nails, lashes, hair, etc. done regularly. The rule is pay when you are done your service, like any other client, but some wiggle room was allowed in the case of payday is tomorrow, I'll pay as soon as the money goes through, or if the front desk was busy helping clients and they had to leave, we know where they will be tomorrow morning at 9. We would put these services on hold and the employee would pay ASAP. It mostly worked on the honor system of don't abuse it or we can't have nice things anymore. Most employees were pretty good about it, but of course, there were the few that regularly forgot for days or weeks, or I can't pay today, I'll pay tomorrow. And these few were usually the ones with the most seniority. In years worked, not power. One of these employees in particular was far worse than the others. On to the compliance. One day, the owner comes in to pick some things up and asks someone on the desk, "What is that little button with 23 notifications on it?" I stepped in and answered, that's the staff services that are on hold. We have less than 23 employees, which means that one or more employee over multiple services." The owner exploded. She started shouting that it's absolutely ridiculous this many people owed her money, and how could you have let it get this far, and who are the employees that owe? I started to reply, well, most of them are. She cuts me off and says, "Just add it up now and tell me so I can talk to them about taking it out of their paychecks." I started to open up the window to show the list of employees who owed for services and said, "Okay, just letting you know that the reason there are so many," and she cuts me off again and says, "You guys," the front desk I guess, "always have an excuse. "There is no excuse, just do it," and storms off to the staff room. My other desk co-worker, who had been hiding in the bathroom, I can't blame her to be honest, comes out and asks, "Did she see the names on the list?" I replied she did not, and got to work on my list, writing out the names of the employees next to their total owing for the services in order from most owed to least. About 30 minutes later, the boss comes down in all of her holy terror and demands the list. I handed it to her, and after glancing at it for a moment, she froze. Y'all, if you have never seen someone lose their steam in front of your very eyes, I highly recommend it. At the top of my list is the owner's adult daughter's name, who happens to be an employee and consequently owes the spa nearly $400 in services, after her 50% discount and not including tax. She had gone back to school recently and was only working part-time, so I guess she was short on money and regularly snuck out without paying for her lashes and her nails. Back to my shell-shocked boss. After staring at the list for a moment in silence, she went over to the computer, opened up the list of on-hold services, and scrolls through. 90% of the services on hold are her daughter's. After a few more minutes of staring at the list, she finally looks up and says, "I'm her mother and the owner, so I'm going to pay this. However, I want all the receipts to give her, and she is not to get any services unless she prepays. I'll tell her this myself. Make sure the rest of the on-holds are paid by the end of the employee's next shifts." I cashed her daughter's services out, bundled the receipts, gave them to my boss, and she thanked me and left. I am simultaneously sad and relieved that I wasn't present for the verbal butt-whooping her daughter received. Okay, good, it ended well because I really expected her to say like, "Oh, just get rid of that then," and still expect the other 10% to be paid, but yeah, luckily it didn't go there. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like, and if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.